Hello everyone, I'm Kana Taku. Welcome to 2020 and Happy New Year. Right before the break, as I was grading my students' final exams, it broke my heart to see when students originally selected the right answer, but then they second-guessed themselves to mark the wrong answer instead. I was glad to at least be able to see where they were coming from in their handwritten notes when they erased their answers, since digital testing doesn't allow us visual access to their thought processes in this way. This happens so often. I would love to come up with a grading solution that includes the ability to have them share their thought processes to give them partial credit for their original right answers, while keeping the bubble answer form, because it saves our time. Outside of academics, of course, there are many more daily situations where we have an intuition for the right answer, but perhaps overthink and talk ourselves into the wrong answer instead. Does this mean thinking too much is harmful? PTG studies have typically demonstrated the positive correlations between deliberate rumination and PTG. Deliberate rumination has been defined as an intentional, constructive thought process. This can include thinking about whether I have learned anything, how the event had affected me, and try to make sense of what actually happened. According to the PTG theory and tons of empirical studies, these sort of thoughts can help us recognize our own PTG. But of course, it can be difficult to determine if this thought process is indeed constructive until we see if it has helped us make the right decisions in our everyday lives. Although PTG research has traditionally focused on two types of rumination, such as deliberate and intrusive, I recognize that researchers in other fields have indicated that deliberate rumination also intersects and interacts with intuition or unconscious thought. So over the break, I was reading a few books about thinking and some medical articles about the complementary effects of combining deliberate rumination and intuition on the patient's decision-making process for treatment and screening. These researchers pointed out that overall, clinicians and researchers currently view their job as informing patients about their options along with the pros and cons so the patients can make an informed decision for their own care. They expect patients to understand, analyze, and then make the most beneficial decision for themselves based on their values and life goals. However, interestingly, this may not always be the case, as it under-recognizes the importance that patients place on their intuition. Researchers realize that when patients employ deliberation, they sometimes change their minds more often. They invent reasons that seem plausible but that are inaccurate. And they tend to focus on a few things that are easy to articulate. In much the same way that we have eureka moments or only come up with the perfect comeback hours after an argument when we are taking a shower or driving along the highway, it is often after we are no longer purposefully trying to make sense of them that they somehow become clear to us. While we are still trying to actively analyze it in our attempt to create a coherent narrative, we are more likely to ignore important facts that don't conveniently fit into that narrative. This is an attempt to justify what happened or rationalize it away. Currently, the PTG model includes acceptance of a changed world, or new reality, or new normal, or whatever we call, right next to PTG, to connect the path from deliberate rumination to PTG. I'm proposing an alternative hypothesis that while deliberate rumination and acceptance are still important, PTG can also be recognized for some people when they start living in a moment with or without acceptance of reality, such as while doing laundry, taking a shower, cooking, browsing the internet, listening to the music, walking, shoveling the snow, and so on. Just perhaps after a lot of thinking, people may simply get tired and just live in a moment. What we actually do in our everyday lives may deserve a spot in our PTG model. Well, thank you for watching. I will see you soon.